Are you using calls to action effectively in your business? Hi, I'm Manu. I'm the founder of your social team, and today's topic is going to be calls to action, which a lot of us call CTAs. CTAs are those little nudges that you give people in your content, telling them what to do next. So, a very popular one for Instagram is go to the link in bio, because that's where you're sending them to our sales page or to our blog post or to our podcast or anything we want to promote. But there are a variety of calls to action that we should be using on Instagram to engage our audience, because they're not only important when people are ready to buy from you, but it's also important that you build a rapport with your audience on Instagram by giving them the option to keep engaging further with your brand. And that can look a lot of times as in like a double tap if you agree, or go to the link in bio to check out our new website, or go to stories and post a comment for a Q&A. There's so many ways that you can engage with people. A lot of times you can ask for their opinions. You can ask who they are. You can ask them for introducing themselves in the comments. There's just a lot of ways that you can use calls to action to strengthen your relationship with your audience on Instagram. So today I want to give you guys a list of 20 calls to action that you may not be using on Instagram, or maybe some of them you're already using, but I'm sure you're going to learn at least a couple new ones, and you can use those prompts to mix and match them into your captions when you're writing on Instagram, or when you're doing a story, or even on your reels, which you can do in text in the actual reel. I'm going to have them for you now, and I'm also going to list them down here. So if you want to copy and paste them, go for it. The first one would be vote for your favorites in the comments. People love giving their opinions about something, and when you ask for their votes and 2 options for something on your business, it could be your new logo, it could be the new color of your new product, it could just be something as like, which headshot should I use for this? People love giving their opinions, so this is a very effective call to action. Number 2, double tap if you agree. That's an easy one, and you just say it's a quick like, and people can just double tap your post, and that'll be a like, and that'll means like, I read your comment, or I read your message, I know what you're talking about, I'm with you on that one. So that's a very quick win, like if you just want a little bit more engagement from that person. And then another fun one is guess which one is a lie. So that's a call to action for people to comment, obviously, but you could do one of those posts like 3 lies and 1 truth, or the opposite, 3 truths and 1 lie, or 2 lies and 2 truths, anything like that. People love those kind of things. That can be a really fun piece of content, especially if you are doing like on a weekend or something when we don't want to be super business heavy. That's a really fun, kind of lighthearted type of post that you can do, and that call to action works every time. The other one would be swipe to learn more. That's for carousels on Instagram. Carousels, you're always swiping, so you can give people the option to swipe to learn more. That's another good one, because even sometimes people are scrolling their feed very quickly and they may see page 1 or page 2 of your carousel, but if it's not saying swipe, they may not notice it's a carousel unless they take a closer look. So you don't need to say this every single time, but it's always a good idea to think of putting that in a carousel if you think that carousel we need a little push, or you want more people to go through them. Another one is save this for later. When do you use save this for later? Only when you're giving people a piece of content that is giving them a multi-step knowledge or tip or recommendation, right? Because if you say to people, let's say you're doing like a restaurant guide, and you say to people, I love this restaurant named so-and-so, people will remember that. But if you give them a list of 7, they are not going to remember that. So they need to save that post. So whenever those posts are worth saving, or if you want to create some content that gets a lot of saves, multi-step tips, guide, educational posts, looks, inspirations, things like that are perfect for saves. And you can always remind them to save this for later, because a lot of times if you say that, people are like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, even though it's kind of obvious that they can save something they like. And number 6 would be DM me for the link. The reason I love this one is because, especially if you're trying to sell something to your audience, there's no stronger connection than being on the DMs with them. So if you're DMing your customer back and forth, or your client back and forth, your potential client back and forth, if they have any question about what you offer, they're gonna ask you. And a lot of times people are one question, one doubt away from doing business with you. So having them in your DMs is very powerful, even though it might be a little more work for you to respond to DMs to everyone and give them a link, as opposed to just send them directly to your link in bio. So you can decide when is the right time to do either. Number 7, link in bio. That's a classic. I'm sure everybody's already using that, so we don't need to go into this very deeply. But for those of you that think that's obvious and you don't need to remind people, trust me, you do need to remind people. So keep using your link in bios. Number 8 is ask me anything. People do that a lot in question stickers in stories, but you can also do a post, an AMA post, ask me anything, and people can ask you questions in the comments and you can comment. It's very good to vary where you give people feedback or support. So having those AMAs posts even on your feed is a really good idea. Tap the link. It's a good idea too, because if you're tagging products and things like that, you are going to say tap for the link, the product link and the photo. So people have to tap the photo to get to that product link you have. And now people have, Instagram just expanded the link tagging or the product tagging in images. So you're going to have even more opportunities to use that. Number 10, share if you agree. So a lot of times you put out a statement or an aha moment about your niche. Those are the type of posts that people tend to naturally share, or maybe like one of those tweets type posts, and people are going to be like, oh, there's something insightful going on here. They read that, and if you put share if you agree, that's another good call to action that might help you with numbers of shares. And numbers of shares are awesome if you're trying to grow your account, because it will make people more aware of the type of content you share, and you get a lot of new followers that way. Number 11, take a screenshot. That's a really good one. That's a great one for reels or for stories. When you are doing any stories or any reels that have like lots of things that you want people to remember, you can do, even like I've done a reel before with all this 20 calls to action, and I say take a screenshot. So take a screenshot is a great one for reels that have lots of like quick texts or stories that have a lot of information in them. Number 12, read more in the blog. That's a good one too. If you have a blog on your website, if you don't, try to get started when you can, because SEO is golden. That's another one that you can promote. I am one of those people that don't promote my blog enough, and I need to. So that's a good reminder for all of us. Number 13, ask me in the comments. So if people have any questions about the topic, give them like a good topic, give them some breadcrumbs along the way and things that are going to make them like, oh, I wonder about that part, Sometimes your captions get really long, so you don't need to explain every single detail about it. But then you say, if you want to know more, or if you have any other specific questions about this, ask me in the comments. That's another really good one. Number 14, tap and hold to read. That's really good for reels and stories when there's too much going on. I don't know about you guys, but every now and then I'm like, I get a DM or a comment on a reel, and it's like, this was too quick to read. And I'm like, yes, you have to tap and hold to read. So if you do have a lot of it and you don't have an audience that is like super Instagram savvy and they might not know that you tap to read, just put a little text in your reel or in your story to remind people that they can tap and hold to read. Number 15, follow for more tips. That's another one that people love doing in reels, but that's a really good one also, even for the last page of your carousel or captions of your reels as well. Just think of content that gets to a lot of people that are not your followers, and carousels and reels are probably the two most common type of content that will reach more people. Number 16, check out our highlights about this and that. And that's a really good way to use your highlights, is to put like topics that are like your frequent asked questions, and you just put them in your highlights. So when people ask you things like on your comments and things like that, you can always direct those to the specific highlights that has the topic and the information they are looking for. Number 17, introduce yourself in the comments. People love talking about themselves, and asking them to introduce themselves, especially if you're B2B and people that you're serving are people that have businesses and they have careers, ask to talk about it. Like, people are dying for opportunities to talk about their careers, about their businesses especially. So this is a really good one. Number 18, head to stories to find out. So you can tell them something in your posts or in your reels and just be like, oh, go to our stories and you see this and that. Go to stories to find out which one is true if you do a post and you're asking people questions and things like that. So that could be a fun one as well. Comment with your favorite emoji. That's a very easy one, just for that quick comment win. And I'm not doing that for numbers. I really don't care about numbers, but the more each person is in the habit of commenting, putting anything, even if it's a little emoji, but go stop and interact with your content, the more engagement you're gonna have with them in the long run, because they just keep doing this more and more, and the algorithm shows it higher priority in their pages, and that's really a good win for you. So that's not something that I would use all the time, but comment with your favorite emoji can be a good one, or even say, I've done before, like comment with your least used emoji or your favorite food or something like that, and that can be just a quick kind of fun little thing to do. And then number 20, share so others can learn too. This is a really good one when you're giving people a good, insightful piece of content. So don't forget to put that one there. Share so others can learn too. And that's when people are going to share to stories, and then more people can learn from you and learn about you, and maybe you get some new followers. I hope you enjoyed our 20 CTAs you should be using on Instagram, and to copy and paste them all, you can just go here and do it down there. Thank you. Bye.